Hello, everybody. This is Max Farrell. This is DexTrader.com, and today is September 12th, 2018, and this is just trading with Max. All right, everybody. We are here today. This is sort of unprecedented, and it's something that I'm probably going to be doing from now on, is because I find that information is very important to all of us. And as we go on through, one of our clients, James, brought to my attention, he goes, "You've been quiet the last week. Don't abandon us." And the idea of me trading and any, I guess what it really comes down to is, if I'm to be a teacher, I always felt like you need to know what you're talking about. So the first thing that most people ask is that, are you knowledgeable about trading? And the answer is yes, I trade a lot. The next is practical experience. Do you have the experience to be able to trade? And then three, do you know what it is to lose? Because everybody's like, I could be a winner. And of course, do you know what to do when you win? And if you find somebody a mentor, and is that what I am? Am I really a mentor? And the answer is yes, I guess I am. I don't want to think of myself as that, but I really am a mentor to most of you. There's a lot of times that I spend a great deal of my own personal time in looking at your charts and looking at your trades and seeing where the good habits are and the bad habits and trying to find good ways to tell you, helping you install stuff, build things. This is what I'm here for. Over the last couple of months, it's been very difficult because usually I keep a very tight balance of trading compared to what I do with clients, right? So there's two ways that I make money. One, I make money trading. Okay, so I trade to make money, right? And I have a balance on Nadex. I get a balance in Forex through Trader's Way. I have a couple balances through some other things that I do in trading. Other things that I'm not allowed to show you by law, only because it's in trading within options and futures. So I'm not allowed to show that because I don't have a license to show you that stuff. But I do have one for Forex and trading on Nadex. So the concepts here is that I make money through trading. Boom. This is pretty good living for me. I make between $6,000 to $8,000 a month, and this is okay. This is a great living, and if anybody would do just that they would be super happy to make that money. But I also make money from teaching people to trade, and that's on DexTrader. Now, we've been out for about 4 years now, and within this 4 years, over the past 3 years, we've been profitable, right? The site runs, we pay customer service, we pay other people, we pay our affiliates, all that kind of great stuff. So for 3 years, we've been in profit. In most cases, the amount of people, we've trained over 8,000 plus people, okay, in this system so far. And these are people that have come and gone or have taken training under the training tab here, which is who've taken the Trader's Mind series. Over about 8,000 people have taken that Trader's Mind series, with over 10,000 people taking the Nadex Ninja series. Wild, right? I know, that's a lot of people. And so I'd like to think that we've helped out the majority of those people learn how to trade and do things. We usually get about 200 to 300 people a day that are on the website, taking the signals and doing their thing, okay? And we have a good running of about 100 people on average that are in constant check with me. We're watching their journals, we're looking at trades being done, all that kind of great stuff. At the same time, in most cases, I take between 1 to 2 hours a day to trade myself, personally. And that usually does me very well. But the concept for me is, how do I, you can make a lot of money doing this by trading people, right? But you can also make a lot of money by trading. So what do I prefer to do? And this is a question I got the other day. What do you prefer to do? You prefer to, if you traded more, you couldn't help as many people. So I have a nice little balance. I trade between 1 and 2 hours, and then I help people between 3 and 4 hours a day. So my day is usually anywhere between 4 to 6 hours, okay, that I work in a hole here, okay? But then I have other things. I'm surviving some health issues, but I'm also working very hard on my martial arts career. Okay, I train people in a couple different martial arts, one being Kenpo, which I've been studying for 36 years, and another is called Yaedo, which is a swordsmanship type of martial art. And so I train people in those particular things. I also am a family man, and I have several kids and a great, beautiful wife who loves me very much, and I love to see her and spend time with them. And so I have a full life. I'm very lucky. Over the last couple of months, the balance has been a little bit off. We've sort of been starting to increase in the amount of people coming on board, mostly because of our longevity of how long we've been in this industry. So anytime that happens, I have to kind of start to rethink things a little bit. A lot of too is that the people are staying longer. As soon as we offered a lifetime subscription, people started to stay on longer, started to work the series, started to really get it. Okay, so that process alone is helping me understand what the real statistic is and the real power of the system is that when it comes down to training, you will take the time to learn if you feel like you've already paid your dues in and you're on board. But then it takes a little bit more out of me. You know, people are usually sometimes expressed to get things done when they have the time clock ticking, basically, right? So what has been going on over the past couple of weeks? We have been studying mostly with our 5-minute signals for the last couple of years, really into 5-minute signals. But with the creation of the basic signals package has always been pretty strong with the dailies and all that kind of good stuff. The dailies, though, have a particular rate of success. Of course, right? 97, 96%. Look at this, 98% success rate. But let's be honest. They only fill about 30% of the time. And it's meant to do that. It's meant to be that particular process. And I traded this under that process for the longest time, making that $6,000 to $8,000 a month with this solution in here, doing very, very well. Because even if I only traded, only if I got picked up maybe once to 2 times per session, and I was only trading 20 times a month, I was trading about 40 sessions a month, winning between $25 and $30 per contract, with only losing about 4 trades a month, not even, sometimes only 3, I was still doing very well at the end of my month. The reason being is not because I was trading 1 contract, okay, but I was trading 10. So when I'd lose, it would lose big. I would lose 700 something bucks, maybe sometimes 75, 750. $700 to $750 I would lose on any one. But when I would win between $25 and $250 and $300. So I began to try to find solutions within all of our signals in our systems. I quickly seen that maybe intradays and SR Maxes are really not the true place to be at. And how can I shorten the time periods down? Well, trading 5-minute trades is really strong too. Why? Not because I desire to be into only a trade for 5 minutes, but what we came up was with a mentality we refer to as the flow. And the flow is really strong. It was a set of rules that I put together for 5-minute trading. And the first rule was to depict the trend. The second was to acknowledge the support and resistance area. The third was to get a good statement price on Nadex, right? That our trend and direction is the same thing. Our support and resistance area was to support or resist the area of where the arrow was. And our good statement price was being able to assess support and resistance areas and a particular type of process that takes part of the flow. And fourth was to get a good market price. Once we did this, it was easy to see that a success rate started to yield itself. Now, the more that we traded, the more our success rate dropped. I know that sounds weird, right? But the longer that somebody sat in the computer and sat at the computer during a period of time, their Einstein window that we refer to became saturated, right? Because you sit down at your computer, you're real excited, you're looking for the proper things, you're waiting for the perfect signal, and you get it and you win, and you're happy as all get out. But then the longer you sit in the chair, the longer that you assess the market, the more that you look at, The more times you look at that process and it going up and down and up and down, the less you have for success rate. So you do well, and then all of a sudden you may cut a corner a little bit because you're getting tired. You've been sitting in a chair for 2 hours, maybe 3. And boom, you lose that first one. And then you have to sit in a chair again because you feel like you need to make it back. And it starts the bad mentality. So the concept of the flow was really important to me. So I began to look, what is the flow for a daily? Well, the flow for a daily was simple. We would, 1, see if there's news, right? 2, and this is also in the other flow. It's just, news is really, it usually is just the preset to everything, right? So I don't put it in. It's like, take a deep breath. You don't need to know that you have to look at news. So let's even take that one out of there, right? So the first thing after we look at news, right? Make sure that we look at news, right? It's always the first thing we do. Is that, because even with the dailies, you really didn't have to look at news too much. It just at particular times, if the news was coming out at 10:30, what have you. But the first thing we would do is that we would isolate, okay? We would isolate the pair that we were looking at, right? So we would look at the USD CHF, and we would look at 97.40. If this was the first one that came out, 97.40, and we would find out which pair did we want to trade with. If there was multiple pairs that came out, we would, 1, look for the best success rate, right? But if there's only one that came out, see, like it's 12.15, we would look to see how well has this one been doing at this particular time period. So I would isolate that variable in there by coming in and going USD CHF, and I would look at that pair at 1500, win by 25 pips, another 1500, win by 28 pips, win by 41 pips at 1500. I would also look at the side that it was at. So if it was a sell, I would look at just sells. 1500, 25, 1500, 41. No other 1500s has been out for a little while. Okay, so isolating the variable and getting the information was still all done right here, right? It was still done on this chart. So I haven't had a look yet at a chart, not even so much as a chart yet, right? Then once I did that, once I did isolate that variable, the second thing that we would do, let me pull up my thing here. 1, we would isolate the flow, right? The second thing I would do was that I would go look on Nadex to find a good price, right? So I'm looking for a market price on Nadex, right? Because I'm looking at the market price on Nadex, but I already know what the market price I want to do. I'm setting a working order at this point, okay? So that's done with a working order, and I set it at $30, right? So I just go there and I go to the USD CHF for 1500, and I go to 97.40, and I put a working order for $30. Okay. Now this means that if it's a sell, it's 30. If it's a buy, it's 70, right? Because you guys know how to do that. Then the third thing I do is that I wait. And I don't even wait by watching anything. I just do that. So the flow is completely different here. There's no analyzation except for that first part was that I look how well the pair is doing. If another pair comes out, I see if it correlates with the second part of it is that if another pair comes out, I see if it correlates with that pair. You see? So this USD CAD, when it comes out, I look to see if the other USD pair, CHF, are both in a sell position. If the USD CAD is in a buy and this is a sell, one of these has got to be wrong. They both can move in that direction and both be successful. But I kind of look at correlation is that if the USDC is going up like this and the USD CHF is going like this, something about the USD is weakening enough to be drug around all over the place. Either the CHF really weakened out or really got strong and the USD dropped, or the CAD got super weak and the USD got really strong. I'm still unsure of that process. So if I had already put a working order for here and this comes out, I might take my working order off both trades in that process. The flow also becomes really clear once I start looking at multiple ones on here, either by the base price or what have you, but I still haven't done any analysis yet. I've still just used the success rates of this process. And once I do that, once I get on and have maybe 1 to 2 trades a day, even if I'm only trading 5 times a week, even there's only 5 trades a week going on, times that by 4. So let's say we're trading 20 times a week and we're winning $30. And maybe we're losing 1 trade out of this. So maybe we lose 1 trade and we lose $70. Okay. That'd be about 95% success rate right there. Okay. So let's just say that happens and we made 600 here minus the 70. So we made $530 for the month with 1 contract. Now, of course, if you're trading 2 contracts, that's 1,060. If you're trading 4 contracts, that's 2,011, 21, and 20. I think something like that. Okay. So it really does come back down to around the one final flow, which is CVG. Right? We've all know this one. Consistency plus volume equals your goal. And the concept here for that is very powerful. Why am I telling you all this? Well, the act of that process helps a lot of people, but doesn't help everybody. It doesn't. There's a lot of people in this industry that want more. So how can you get more? Well, you can get more by a couple of ways. The first way is that you can do a little bit of analysis. So if this process only fills 30% of the time, right? If it only fills 30% of the time, how do I get it to fill more? Well, we need to know a little bit more to bring those prices closer. And why doesn't it fill more? Well, because simple that over a period of time, if we look at the market like price and time, right? Price being this horizontal lines, these vertical lines here against the horizontal plane. So when price goes higher, okay, time is these vertical lines, price are these horizontal lines. When price goes higher, time goes on, right? And what we do is we take a slice of this time and say, between this time and this time, price has gone up. And here's the high, or here's the low, and here's the high. If the price pierces the high, we use the low price to say, all right, well, it shouldn't be able to get past this 97.40 if this happened to be the USD CHF. Okay? And we say that happened, but this may be a 60 pip margin in here, right? This might be 60 pips from this direction. So it's pretty far. But what will usually happen is that the price will dip back down, get pretty close, it fills our working order, and we're on. But this only happens, what, 30% of the time. So how could we then start to really look at the market, to assess the market, to see, well, maybe there's a support resistance line right here. And what is this line at? Well, this could be really close to 97.60. So that would be 20 pips closer. And there might be, say, $25 on that price, or a working order put on for 30 that fills, because sometimes it'll come back down here and it'll do what? Go OTM. That's right, out of the money. And then it goes back up. In that case, it happens about 40% of the time. And how huge is that? And sometimes it may just come close enough just to drop down to it, fill the working order and go, where this one would never get filled, but this one does. But how do you get to that point? Well, we need to do a little bit more analysis. And in order to do that, we need to look at the market and be able to read a chart and be able to use that process. But then I started thinking, because I got to flip back and forth, I got to look at all the numbers, I got to look and see where the USD CHF is at. And what most of you don't realize is that the power of this daily system here, all these signals that come out, is all run by a single indicator and system. That's right. I invented this many years ago, about 5 years ago, and was using it for my own trading for the longest time. And then I made it automated to where it would spit out all this information for me in this format. And let me show you what that looks like. I can't show you the back office of it, but I want to show you what it looks like in an indicator form. Okay. I'm going to add on a chart window here. I'm going to go to my, this Euro USD. I'm going to go to my template because I've saved this in a template. As you can see, I have lots of templates and everything else going to daily setup right there. Now, this is what it looks like. Now, there's other things on this process, okay? Don't get me wrong. I have a moving average, 2 moving averages, the DEX support and resistance, and the DEX daily system in here, okay? And it's pretty powerful. The DEX daily indicator system is very, very powerful. And if you notice, it'll be exactly set up. These arrows will correspond exactly every single day with this. There's no difference. Because this indicator runs on my back server and calls these out every single day. So it's exactly the same. Because it looks at just a handful of flow numbers to be able to make these assumptions where these are at. Now, what I found is that, let me pull some of this stuff off of here so you can see it better. I found what process happens that makes a signal fail, right? What will make a signal fail? Well, if news comes out at a particular time period, let me see if I can find one that may have failed here. Let's look at this Great Britain pound JPY sitting at 7 o'clock in the morning. Pound JPY. In fact, let me do this template, put this back on it, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, this is what it looks like with all the stuff on it. Okay, now watch this. 7 o'clock in the morning. Why did this particular one fail? Well, one, look at the direction of this moving average. This moving average is set to a 200 moving average, simple moving average, right? SMA. And this one is at a 50 SMA, simple moving average. Okay. This one has more of a dynamic with the market, and this one is an overall trend setting process of finding out which way the trend's going overall. Not dynamic trend, okay, and short-term trend like we do in 5 minutes, but overall trend. What we noticed immediately while this mostly failed is this was news-oriented, okay, and it went against the grain of this trade. Now, sometimes the system will take into account certain levels, okay, and it just so happens to be that this level ended up failing right here. Okay, because of that move. And that's okay. They're not meant to be all perfect. But I started to see that when I looked at why did this one fail this morning, you know, because of the news or for something else. And it was position. It just so happened to be that that signal itself ended up failing. Oh, wait a minute. It was the wrong one. I'm sorry. It wasn't this one here. It was this one here. Okay, so there was a little bit of news, but watch what happened. The price for this particular one was right at the 5 or the 50 MA. And so I started to go back and look at all the ones that would fail against the grain here on where could they have been set at and which ones are filling and which ones aren't and why they're filling. And I started to notice a trend. And the trend was that the ones that were going against the grain of the process were the ones that were failing. And so I started to look at, secondly, not only the ones that are failing, but the ones that don't fill, how can I get them to fill? And where could they get filled at? So this particular one, let's go look at this. We look at the USD CHF on the sell, 97.40. And I'm going to show you this because we're really close. 97.40, USD CHF. I'm going to drag that over. We're going to put this on right there. Okay? And it's on for a sell. Okay? We put a working order on and it hasn't filled because we still weren't close enough yet. All right? But the Great Britain pound USD did fill. Well, it sort of filled. I kind of put it on automatically, you know, because it was at a good price when I got at it. So let's look at that one. And here's where we come into. When we first got onto this signal sitting in here, the market had already moved really super far away. You know, that's something like 50 something pips away from where the market is at. So we knew that if the market was going to be down that low, what other indicators could I push this up and choke for? Now, most of the times I'll look at averages of how many pips a particular pair would have choked in. But in this case, what we started to see almost immediately was that there were some very strong indications that these levels could support more movement. Okay, so once a price breaks past a support line, or a resistance line, it becomes support. So this line right here at 33.39, 1.3039 would become a very strong resistance area at 3040. 3040, as you can kind of see. So at the time that this signal came out, it was sitting at such a good price. Well, it's 21 bucks, so it's not a lot of money. But again, I've only did one contract here. If this was 10, it would be $210 win when this comes up here in 6 minutes. Okay, because we're sitting 13 pips above it right now. Now, some of these others didn't fill, but this would not have been a trade that would have filled. And I'm only doing one. I'm only showing you one in here right now. We could have went down through this entire process and gone through every single daily signal that comes out. And we can look. We can sometimes know that those particular pairs could be choked up. And what I'm seeing strongly is that opportunities like this particular pair, we know immediately we wouldn't have pushed this up to this level here. Why? Because this 50 SMA is telling us it's going against our signal head. So don't push it up. In fact, double on that particular product. You know exactly where it's calling it from. The same thing for this one. Don't push it up to this area. Okay? But use it as a process to second and triple validate those signals. So if you're trading signals right now and you're just using the simple method of using the spreadsheet, have at it. Don't add in, and you're successful, and you like the success you have, don't pay attention to anything that I'm saying right now. This is one system. I also, over the past week, validated something else too, which is pretty strong, is under our 5-minute daily system, or not 5-minute daily, 5-minute system. And we call this the 5-minute Forex run. And what's happened is that we noticed that the 50 and 200 SMA works also in the same fashion with the 5-minute indicators system and the 5-minute MDM system that's here. And what we were doing is that when the arrow was above the 200 and the price was above above the 50 SMA, we had a higher rate of success, 90% and above. It's killer. So when both particles were running in the same direction and the arrow of the up arrow was above the 200 and the price was above the SMA 50, we had a huge round of success. Same thing said to be true in the opposite direction when both pairs or both SMAs would work against it. Also, with a crossover of the SMA, the first signal that came off was a high rate of success as well. So you would get the cross, you would wait for the first blue to go up, and it was getting a huge rate of success, even if the main 200 SMA was heading in the opposite direction. We were still getting a very high rate of success within that 5 minutes. Very powerful. And these happen all day long. Crossovers, and this is still all within the same day. There's, let me count them. 1, 2, right here. And the reason why is because we look at the pullback under this trend, this pullback, that first arrow after. Okay, remember, first pullback after. Price arrows above 200. Price just climbed above that process. Okay, and boom, huge success, huge success, huge success. So that's 3. No losses yet. Still up, still up, still up. Cross, cross, just above, just above. Now this one may be a loss here. What I'm doing is checking right now. So this is on 705. Boom, boom, boom. Because that's at the if we're not going at the money with this process, by the way, for Nadex. If we were doing for Nadex, by the way. Okay, so it's not, we're not using this as a Nadex platform, but we're looking at a success rate that we come back down here and we look for how many pips can we get before it crosses over the 200, and there's our 16 right there. So this is about 4x in that process. There's also a mentality that we can use this to trade on Nadex as well. We just have to add a few more flows to it. So, got about 2 minutes, sitting at 30.54, so this is not going to look like a problem. But what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start putting out some daily emails as well. We were asked to put these videos out as many times as we can, to come in and talk about the process so you can hear a little bit, feel like we're always progressing and getting more. So what I want you to do, to Maxx at dextrader.com, send me an email, maxx at dextrader.com, of any questions you have. You know, write in a question of something you want me to cover, something you want me to look at, something you want me to explain. And we'll start making those videos. We'll put these videos out every day, and we'll have a topic every single day, so you can feel like you're always learning something more, and even if I'm just recovering stuff. Okay? There's some training stuff that's coming. We're very proud about what's about to release now. We're sort of going to revamp a little bit. I'm going to need some testers as well. So send me an email to Maxx at dextrader.com if you want to partake in learning how to trade some of these fine-tuned process through dailies. Okay? If you're watching this and you're not a member yet, you want to become a member. You want to go join the Nadex side and be a part of this system. Join. There's a process in here that you're really going to enjoy. And you're going to get to be able to talk to the owner and other people that are trading system and making money. Well, there's the win on that particular trade. And that was a daily. And that was set at 1 o'clock, and it's 3 o'clock now. So for 2 hours, I only made 21 bucks or 20 bucks after the fee. But listen, if that was 10 contracts, it'd be 200. And I could do that 3 or 4 times a day if I wanted to. The idea here is we have to find the success rate. And that's what we're up to next. And I can't be the only one trading it. So I need your help. So send me an email to Maxx at dextrader.com. Let me know if you want to partake in this process. Also put in an email to me if you have any questions or you want me to do another video of exactly, of anything you want within this industry and what we're doing. And I'll start making these videos every day for you. I'm Maxx. This is Dex Trader. I look forward to seeing you inside. And as always, trade well.